All right, it is Wednesday, June 17th, when you guys will be listening to this. It's Tuesday evening. We're recording the Gives in the Bank recruiting podcast. We have another special guest this week. It is Devonta Smith, Ohio State cornerback commit out of Cincinnati, LaSalle. We're going to be talking with him here for the first half of the show, and then we'll get on to some other topics as well once we're finished with that interview. But first, Devonta, how are you doing? And thanks for being here.
No problem. Good to be here, and I'm doing great. How about you?
We're doing great. We're just we're ready for football probably as much as you are, which kind of leads me into my first question. What I guess is your excitement level right now? Because it looks like we are close. It looks like we're on the doorstep of football. I know Mick Walker came by the school and saw you guys a couple weeks ago. You're starting to do some workouts and things like that. And, how anxious are you to get back out there at this point?
Oh, I'm very anxious. The first day we got back, I was just happy to see my guys, because I was away from a long time. I'm a very, outgoing person. So, everybody loves me and everything. And, I lead them and, try to just show them the right way to do stuff. And, I'm very excited and anxious to get back on that field and, be able to do it all for my last time in high school.
Devonta, we kind of got to know each other really well in the past year. And, the program you play for at Cincinnati LaSalle is an amazing program. You guys are not only great athletes, which you proved it by winning the state title, but in getting to know you guys, Cam Porter, Jalen, the whole group. What is the secret to the success there, not on the field only, but even off the field? Is it Coach Pat? I mean, what is the key there?
Well, I would say the main key is LaSalle, honestly. In that environment we are in, we're taught certain things that I would say, other schools and where other kids are at aren't. We're in an environment where, they expect the best, only the top tier and the best of the best of the best in the city goes there and, they compete and, and that's just how it turns out. And, luckily we all was in that little era we had and, got that title.
You had also, as I follow up here, you told me probably this time last year how strong you felt your team was going to be. You guys weren't all that good your sophomore year is what the expectations are at LaSalle. And you told me last year you guys were going to win a state title. You were driven to do that. We talked about it after the state title game on the field there. Do you have that same zest for winning after you won last year?
Honestly, no. It's way worse now, like worse in a good way. Like worse in a good way because like I feel like coronavirus kind of held me back, but I was still working out and doing everything I could, but it kind of held me back and held me back from my team, my guys, my coaches, and just stuff we had to do and stuff we had to plan. And I just feel like it's making me more angry and more eager to get on the field and just produce for my team, for the fans, and ultimately just myself.
What was that state title run like? Because I thought this was maybe the strongest Division II has maybe ever been in the state of Ohio. I thought, most years, to be honest with you, I don't think the Division II champion would win the Division I state championship. But I thought last year those final four schools in Division II were all Division I caliber in terms of being able to compete at that level. It was kind of an epic run for you guys. And you guys played a great schedule. I mean, what was that grind like week to week?
It was tough, honestly. It was very tough. As you know, we in the GCL, and playing other GCL teams is very tough. It's a top ranked league in the country, and it's nothing but dogs in that league, and I mean dogs. Like it's rough after the games, honestly, on our bodies because we go all out, and but it's week after week, it's very rough. I can honestly say that. Honestly. Like our team, I was so proud of our team last year because the way we were, just taking care of our bodies and everything, little things we did the little things ended up turning into big things. And that's how we got to that big goal, which is winning the state title. So, focusing on the little things, I feel like will, get us back to where we need to be. But until then, we're just gonna be focusing on day by day, week by week.
Devonta, I mean, it's pretty obvious when we hear you speak that you are a leader. Is that something that has been learned? Is it something you learned from older players? Is it just natural? Is that just who you are? But, my question would be, where does your leadership skills, where does this come from?
Yes, sir. I always just been a natural born leader, and I give credit. I have to give credit to my grandfather. He's instilled that into me because he was in the Army, Vietnam. So he went to Vietnam War and everything. So all that was installed into him, and he kind of passed it down to me at a young age, literally like when I was 4. So, I always just call myself a natural born leader. That's how I acted. That's how that's how everyone see me. So, I just stepped up and I always played that role anywhere I was at any given time. And also I got my favorite all-time favorite player, and he's in this era, but I feel like me and him are very compatible in like play style and just like how we think, which is Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama. It's now at the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a very natural born leader on the field and off the field. You can just see about everything he says and everything. I try to, mimic him and, following the right path and, doing the things and leading how he leads, and also, incorporating some things that I got from other people and just, how I am naturally, because that's really how I am naturally. I'm not faking it whatsoever.
Before I step into my next question, I just want to tell you how old you just made me feel. It felt like yesterday I was at St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey covering Minkah Fitzpatrick, and now you're looking up to him as an NFL star. So that made me feel about 100 years old. Ohio State was actually one of his maybe top 5 schools or whatever. They were on him for a while, so I covered Minkah. So that's a little sobering, but the one thing I think I've respected about you the most is I feel like you get whatever you're supposed to get in terms of your potential. I feel you get the most out of it. I don't feel like – I feel like there are some guys out there who maybe don't realize their talent levels and maybe don't maximize their potential. I feel like you're a guy that will do that at the college level for sure. And that's kind of the thing I've respected about you. You talked about the leadership, that your grandfather instilled in you. I want to go kind of to the work ethic. I mean, was it grandfather as well there, or kind of, talk about maybe, I know you don't want to brag about yourself too much, but, I've always been impressed by your work ethic. Is that something he instilled as well?
Oh, yes, sir, for sure. At a young age, I was just out there training, at that time, though, I didn't really understand like where I was going to be at this point in time in my life, like going to Ohio State at that, and, having, being able to, like, all the opportunities I have now and stuff like that. I didn't understand that, but he always knew that and always told me that. I just really never understood it. I just did it because, football was my first love. Like, I never had like a plan B or anything to fall back on. So I just put my all and 100% into everything, into football, everything I did, whether that was the conditioning, the strength part, anything. Like, and, I just go 100% to this day because that's all I really know. Like,
Devonta, I've read on the internet some questions regarding your height, your weight, your speed. Let's deal with that right now. The kind of a two-part question. The first
I'm
part.
ready too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and where you at height-wise? What do you weigh? And have you run anything lately? Have you run any 40s lately? Have you run anything, any time you can give us to, where Devonta Smith is today on June 16th? Where are you at?
Right. Okay. Height right now, I'm about 6'1.5". I grew 1/2 inch. At the end of the season, I was about 6 foot. Well, I played the whole season through 6 foot. Everybody just thought, I don't know why everybody thought I was like 5'9" or 5'10". I was legit 6 foot, and I have pictures and everything to prove it. And and my weight right now, I'm about 185. Like like before quarantine, I was like 193, but I was really cut and everything. Like, I was running track and lifting, so I was very lean and cut. But then, I wasn't able to like lift as much as I wanted to, and do everything I could have done, while this COVID stuff was going on. So, well, it's still going on, but when it was when we just first started getting into it. So, I lost about a couple pounds, like 5 or 6, 7 pounds. But, I'm gaining it back. And, I'm just can't wait to see how, my body turns out, when I get to Ohio State. And, it's just crazy seeing the transformation that I made, coming from freshman year, coming in at like 150 pounds, on starting varsity. It was just crazy. And, it's great to look back and see where I came from.
Okay, any track time, any 40 time, anything you've done in the last month or two? Give me a speed number here.
Oh yes, sir. 40 time. I'm a legit 4.3. I'm legit 4.3. I can't even lie about that. I have ran that, and I have my coaches and everybody behind me that can prove it and give you their word. And 100, I haven't ran my last 100-meter dash I ran. It was 10.87, but I know for sure I'm faster than that now. That was my sophomore year I ran, but I didn't get to run junior year. I don't think nobody did, but this upcoming senior year, I'm looking to break our school record, which is it's like 10.6, and I feel like I could have been there this year. But this year, like this senior year, my senior year, upcoming senior year, I'm pretty sure I'm going to break it.
I mean, anything sub 11's moving in the 100, so we'll take that 10.8 as a strong time. You had a very interesting recruiting process in the sense that I don't think anyone was quite sure when Ohio State was going to offer. I think we sensed it was coming. I know at one point it was a matter of maybe just visiting. Ohio State had obviously a change in coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously the defensive backs, which is clearly an important change as far as you're concerned, going from Jeff Hafley to Kerry Combs. I just kind of curious, looking back on that, did you know that it was coming? Did you think you were going to have to camp and kind of, talk us through what your mindset was those few weeks where we weren't sure kind of which direction this thing was going?
Okay. Yes, sir. I kind of knew it was coming for sure. I know my God, Bill, he knew too, but it was kind of like, I didn't know if I was going to get it when I visited, and then like this COVID-19 stuff happened. So then I got it earlier because they were going to do like this whole little, they was going to like surprise me with it when I went up on a visit. And I'm pretty sure it was going to be March 28th. I was going to go up there and meet and, one of my best friends, Jalen, that's also committed to Ohio State. We were going to go up there. They were going to do a whole little surprise and offer me and everything. And that's when I was supposed to commit. But I did, it didn't happen because, the virus and everything. But I ended up getting it earlier because of that. And I kind of knew it was kind of happen. But, like, earlier in the process, I was very clueless. I was talking to Coach Combs and everything all the time, every day. He knew that I wanted to, become part of the family and everything. It was just a matter of, him wanting to build that relationship and him letting me know that he's real. That's really where it was very like, it was crazy to me because no coach ever coaches just offered me. He really just waited and really built that relationship with me, and that really stuck with me. And I appreciate him for doing that.
Wow. Devonta, the last thing I would have for you is when I first laid eyes on you, we had you as a slot wide receiver. And, I thought you were darn good. You were a definite D1 college wide receiver. No doubt about it. And then the next time I see you, now you're a corner, and that totally changed your recruiting life. It took you from decent wide receiver to Oklahoma, Oregon, Ohio State, DB. What was that transition like for you? Is it something that you really wanted to do, or did they kind of have to talk you into going from offense to defense?
All right, I got this. That was a good question. Going all the way back to like back then, like back when I was like playing Pee Wee and Pop Warner football. My granddad always told me I would be a corner. My granddad, like, he is obsessed with Deion Sanders, so like he always tried to make me become a defensive back. But I was just always great at it. Like I was just a natural. Like I was just natural at it, and it always just came fluidly with me. Like hips, like breaking everything, like everything, good eyes, everything everything that you would need as a defensive back. It always just came natural to me. as I just worked through my freshman year through my sophomore year, that's where I grinded. Like freshman year to my sophomore year, I literally grinded at DB every day nonstop. And that's where it just became, I don't know. It just became like, I just became great at it, I guess, or good. It was just, and I was kind of proud of myself that I really put that much work in and actually got to where I needed to be.
And we'll kind of wrap this up with this. Obviously, I think probably defensive back is the most important position in this recruiting class for Ohio State. It's obviously going to be a pretty good sized group. There's a bunch of guys in there already. I'm sure they're going to take, maybe one more here, maybe even two. But, you guys have all seemed to buy into whatever Coach Combs is telling you at this point. Why do you think so many of you guys are willing to kind of A, buy into Coach Combs and his return to college football, and B, join in the same class where, we're talking, 6-7 defensive backs in this class?
Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure the main reason is, the guys Coach Combs developed, recently at Ohio State. He's put out a very good amount of, DBs and corners at that, at Ohio State. And that's really, it was really like intriguing. Like it drew you to him. Like it was just crazy. So I'm pretty sure that was one of the reasons. And also, just Ohio State at that, it's a, it's really a family oriented organization, like school, and at that, like they just show so much love and, affection. It's crazy. It's like, how could you not? And, and I just really appreciate them for, from my from my standpoint, like just, doing all that for my family and me. Like I really appreciated the opportunity and everything, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. We wish you the best of luck here. One of us will probably be down. You guys open with Lakota West, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There'd be 3 Buckeyes on that field.
Wow. Four now.
4, yeah, 4.
Yeah, so one of us is going to be down there. So we will be out there to see you guys early, but we wish you the best of luck here these next few weeks as you get back in shape here from the layoff and start working towards a repeat. And we thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, D.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we had a great conversation there with Devonta. He might be the most outgoing guy in this class for Ohio State. He's always a pleasure to talk to, and a guy I think Ohio State fans are going to grow to love over the years because he's just such a friendly and outgoing personality. But we're going to shift gears here a little bit. Ohio State tight end recruiting. They've been looking at taking 2 tight ends in this class. The guy they had kind of not penciled in, but the guy they had really zeroed in on recently was Hudson Wolf out of Tennessee. He committed to the in-state Tennessee Volunteers this week. So now we could see some reshuffling of the tight end board as Ohio State moves forward here. Bill, how do you see this now playing out? What do you think the landscape is right now? And kind of what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to see. I mean, there are a couple other candidates in the mix. They do have Sam Hart committed. I know they like Sam a lot. The one, probably the newest name that hit is in-state Mitchell Evans. And, I like him. I like him a lot. He is someone who's just coming on fast in terms of growing into his body. I think that kid's going to end up being a left tackle at the college level. I don't think he's anywhere near done growing yet. He's played quarterback. He can do a lot of things. I know they like him. And, I'm kind of the president of the Jack Pugh fan club. And I really believe in all my heart that if Jack could have made it, down to an Ohio State camp, if they could have seen him in person, which they really haven't yet, or if they could have gotten out during the evaluation period that was supposed to take place in May and watched him work out in his high school, I really believe he would be in this class right now. And that's definitely not a criticism of Ohio State. They have not seen Jack, and they're kind of going off, film from last September and October, and that's not who he is today. So still kind of holding out hope there that even though he's committed to Wisconsin, that maybe that could somehow work out. I just think the world of the kid. He is a little bit on the project side. He hasn't played a lot of tight end yet. But, boy, when you look at the measurables, the size, brother playing at Northwestern, so we got the bloodlines there. I'm all in on Jack Pugh, and I really, I'm really anxious to see how things go and if things would take place with Jack in Ohio State. And if not, Ohio State also kind of got cheated that they didn't get to see Cade Stover over the complete spring session. And maybe had they have seen Cade, every day for a month play tight end, they might have decided at that point, hey, we don't need to. We'll just take one because, Cade gives us the extra tight end we need. So kind of got to see what happens here going forward. I would love to see Pugh find his way into this class. And I'd also be anxious to know if Cade Stover is, OSU quality tight end or not. So that's kind of my feelings on where they're at right now with the tight end.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that if we put together a list of kind of casualties of the camp season and spring evaluation period getting wiped out, that Pugh would be right at the top of that list. He took a couple years off from playing football. He comes back, he breaks a bone and has to get a cast on his arm, on his hand. So he didn't even get to play a full season at tight end this fall. They had to move him to defense at that point, and he was pretty much playing defensive end, and he was effective, but it was simply, a big, fast, strong kid out there running around trying to tackle the quarterback. I mean, there wasn't, there was still some technical stuff, and they didn't get to see him at tight end very much. He's, in my opinion, a better athlete than Hudson Wolf. It's simply a matter of, as you said, they got to see something there. They're gonna go, and they haven't been able to do that yet. So I could see him working his way toward offer status here, in August, September, October. Jordan Dingle's another interesting one out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. He's camped up there 2 years in a row, or had camped up there 2 years in a row. He's a guy they like. They offered him at camp. He's a good athlete. He probably would fit well with Sam Hart as more of a flex tight end versus Sam being more of an inline guy. And I know they want to run a lot of 2 tight end personnel. They had a lot of success with that last year. So, that could be one. Michael Trigg from Florida at Tampa area. They're in his top 10 for a Florida kid in June. So take from that what you will. But see where that one goes. Mitchell Evans to me is the interesting one because here's the thing. So they'd like to take a second tight end for now, at least for now. And, we're going to get into a little bit of O-line stuff here in a minute, but they also are still looking at offensive tackle. And so doesn't Mitchell Evans at that point, doesn't he have some added value that he could be one or the other of the 2 things they're kind of looking for right now on offense? I mean, do you think that adds to his value that he's maybe a tweener on that front?
Well, I think it does, but, if you look at the class they brought in last year, I think there were enough projects and hopes and wishes in that class. And I don't know, I just kind of thought in this class, if you were going to hold fast at 4, you really needed 4 close to sure things as possible. And, Jackson and Chrisman to me are sure things. I love both kids. I thought they had Latham. I think you did too. That's about, sure a thing as there is in the country today. And then, I never really was sold that they were getting Jagger Burton, but I sure never thought that they weren't in that. And I still think they're in that. So I guess the short answer is if you could have popped, Jackson, Chrisman, Latham, Burton, call it a day, no projects, and try to develop the dudes you brought in last year, when last year was kind of more of a quantity thing that they needed bodies last year. The numbers were down. Well, they hit that goal. Now this year I looked at it as, hold the line at 4, but take 4 studs. And then Mitchell Evans, God, I do like him. And I think there is added value there because he might be your tight end. He might be your left tackle. But, man, I just didn't think this group would get into any mites. I thought it would be all sure things, and the Latham thing is a kick in the pants. There's no doubt about it. Not saying it's over. It's not done. But, I'd sure rather have the commitment from Latham today and let Bama try to steal him than them getting the commitment and then Ohio State has to try to work him back. So we'll see what happens, and Mitchell Evans is definitely interesting to me. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to kind of watch here, and this may seem a little ridiculous given maybe the lack of production in the passing game of the tight end over the years, but, Jeremy Ruckert is draft eligible. Now, again, do some things need to change between, now and December to make him a legitimate NFL target for the NFL draft in 2021? Yes, but I think that's also another reason why the two tight end thing has been their policy so far, because if for some reason Ruckert would have a breakout season and go to the NFL, you're really light on bodies and you're really light on experience next year at tight end. So that could be just something kind of on the periphery to kind of keep in the back of your mind as they evaluate this position and what they're going to do here. Yeah, we'll hit on some. We did a lot of O-line stuff last week, but obviously we talked last time about the Latham to Alabama on deck or whatever. That's happened. There's some smoke out there right now about Tristan Leigh and maybe Ohio State being more involved in that one. Bill, what are your thoughts on that at this point and kind of where things go here at offensive tackle?
Well, I love that kid, and I think he has a chance to be a really, really big-time player at the college level. I like the length. I like the quick feet. But, for me to sit here and say Ohio State is going to get him, that's, they're going to have to fight on that one. I mean, and I don't know I don't know how high they are really on his list. I sure like Clemson there. I think Clemson's in great shape. I think LSU is probably either co-leader or running second. And then Ohio State's got to fight their way into that, to be honest with you. But for me to sit here and say, Tristan is headed to Ohio State, I can't say that right now. And I don't believe that right now. But I think they're in better shape today with Tristan than they would have been last week at this time. So that's kind of my feelings on him. I just need to see a little more and hear a little bit more before I'm, sold that he is viable for Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat there. The one thing I did find interesting is, I've kind of been saying this for several months now. I mean, back in like February when there was maybe some talk about, Ohio State getting both of those kids, I said, look, there's a lot of overlap on those lists. Alabama, LSU, Ohio State were kind of all in the picture for that kid. I'm like, the odds of him and Latham going to the same school are so low. I mean, they're two of the most coveted, franchise left tackle recruits in the country. And I just don't see that happening. And it was kind of indicated to me that it wouldn't be happening. And now that Latham is, going to Alabama, or at least, is committed to Alabama, it doesn't shock me too much that we're now seeing Ohio State sort of gaining some momentum now. I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there was very little chance that an Alabama, an LSU, or an Ohio State was going to get both of those kids. And now we're starting to see some of the dominoes fall. And we'll see. I actually think if I had to pick today, I'd pick LSU. But I think Clemson. Okay. I think Clemson's in there as well. I think our top two is the same there. I think I might have LSU slightly ahead of Clemson. You seem to have Clemson slightly ahead of LSU. But I think those are the two. And then so it's a matter of getting him back on campus in the fall and trying to flip that one a little bit from what the status quo is right now. I don't know if you may disagree here. I think the Nolan Rucci talk is borderline crazy. They've had a year to gain traction with that kid, and they haven't been able to. And believe me, they would love to. I just don't see it. I think he goes to Penn State or Wisconsin, where all the family ties are, and that's kind of that. I think once you get past Tristan, I think it comes down to you really need to start doing your homework on some of the Ohio kids and maybe find a shaky commitment elsewhere around the country once visits open back up. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's it's too soon to reach into Ohio right now. And that's not to say that, Terrence Rankel's my guy, and I would sure keep an eye on him. But, I don't think they need to jump, in mid-June that way. Man, we just don't know where recruiting is going to go when the official visits finally open up. There's so darn many kids committed right now that never got to take the visits they wanted to take. And my feeling is when the visits open up, these kids will take those visits. They are not going to get cheated out of the visits they wanted to take. So the whole national recruiting board could get reset, in October. So I wouldn't panic yet. And the thing I would have is, how do you view, Tristan Leigh versus J.C. Latham? Okay, if Latham indeed is out and they do land Tristan Leigh, how would you view that for Ohio State in terms of just pure talent? Because for me, it would be an even trade. I like Tristan Leigh that much. I think he's that good. And I've seen Latham and love him, but I think it would almost be a wash there of talent for talent. And I just kind of wondered how you viewed Leigh versus Latham.
Yeah, I mean, if you put a gun to my head and made me take one, I would take Latham. But I don't think we're talking night and day there. I think we're talking two of the best in the country. So
right.
I think if you're Ohio State and you're told, well, you're not going to get Latham, but you're going to get Tristan, you're probably very happy with that.
Break out the champagne.
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge drop off there at all. I think Tristan might be a little better technically right now, whereas I think Latham's maybe more the physical marvel between the two. They're both very impressive, though, that's for sure. So, yeah, I don't think that's a big drop off at all. I think you're happy if that's the outcome. If you get one of those two, I think you're thrilled about that.
Agreed. Yep.
Well, we'll wrap this up because we did go a little bit there with Devonte, and we want to keep these to a reasonable level where you guys aren't sitting there for an hour and a half trying to listen to us talk each other's heads off. But we appreciate everyone tuning in. We're going to continue to bring you guys some guests you think you'd like hearing from. Again, you can always reach out to me and Bill if there's someone you think would be interesting to have on and talk recruiting. But we're going to sign off now, and thanks for listening.